here for you. Siding Unlimited. New roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Call Siding Unlimited or visit sidingunlimited.com today.
Buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction. It's one of life's biggest decisions.
That's why clarity, trust, and the right guidance matter, especially in the ever-changing market.
I'm Tony Wendorf with Tony Wendorf & Associates, powered by Keller Williams.
I'm John Lorenz.
And I'm Taylor Mangini. Our team delivers a white glove experience at every price point, combining expert negotiation, local insight, and genuine care.
Get started today with a team you can trust at wendorfteam.kw.com.
Tony Wendorf & Associates.
Driven by faith, gratitude, and results.
Hey y'all, it's the Rocket Roger Clemens here. Spent a lot of time pitching heat. Years later, the pain in my joints remind me of those days, but I'm not looking to sit still, and I definitely am not interested in going under the knife. That's why I chose QC Kinetics.
Not just for elite retired athletes. QC Kinetics gives everyday folks joint pain relief using regenerative treatments that work with your body to help repair joint damage.
No surgery, no long recovery, whether it's your knees, hips, shoulders, or back. My friends at QC Kinetics will help you get moving again so you can get back to doing the things you love.
QC Kinetics medical professionals will look at your x-rays or MRI to determine if you're a good candidate.
I trusted QC Kinetics to help me feel like myself again, and I'm proud to recommend them to you.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-240-2298. That's 414-240-2298. 414-240-2298.
Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee. We are the home for all your Bucks coverage. 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, and WKTI HD Milwaukee. A locally owned Good Karma brand station. Shoot. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamara. Here's Jen Latta.
Draft is in the books. In the bank and earning interest, as they say. And I guess we can't really call Brian Gutekunst rigid anymore. This guy is as flexible as a yogi at this point, man. A guy, a GM, who traditionally loves his picks, right? Averages, what, close to 10 per year? Content with 6. 6 picks for your green gold.
I mean, I don't know if he was content.
Content is about the warmest I would go, Gabe, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's saying that. I'm not even sure I'd even go there.
I didn't say thrilled. He's not doing cartwheels.
He had 6.
But he's content with 6 at this point. So, Chew, I'll begin with you. They got a cornerback, a defensive lineman, an edge guy, an interior offensive lineman, another cornerback, and a kicker. We're going to break down those positions as the morning goes on, but your initial reaction to the 6 picks that Brian Gutekunst and the Green Bay Packers got in the 2026 NFL Draft.
He backfilled positions of need. The 2 cornerbacks will help. Hopefully one of them can contribute. Got Joshy's guy a little later than they thought. But that always gives me pause. Like, why did he fall?
I don't know. Why did you fall?
Because I suck in running the 40 at that time.
Okay, I was going to say, that's a little bull crap this morning.
They still need O-line help. But I thought overall, I've been looking at the grades. It goes anywhere from an A to a D.
Does that surprise you?
No, you could. It's so hard to judge, I think, without a first-round pick. And it's so hard to judge in general because we don't know if these guys can play. We have no idea. It takes 2 years. We're probably used to take 3. It takes 2 now. But he did backfill some positions early. But I thought overall I'd give him a B. I thought it was pretty good. The kicker kind of gave me pause.
Yeah, I got
Where he
questions.
could've got, what, 2 more guys?
Yeah, I got questions about that, certainly.
Yeah.
But again, I think the goal was the one thing he had said for certain is that they needed bodies at the cornerback position, right? Like that was one thing that he had said multiple times and was talking about in the run-up to the draft. So check, you did that. You got 2 of those, including with your first pick in the second round. I think obviously, if they were at least kicking the tires or kind of sniffing around adding a defensive tackle the way we had talked about Dexter Lawrence because they wanted a wider body, all right, you check that as well. Get a 220-pound plus guy out of Mizzou. So, again, the things I think they were looking for, especially on the defensive side, you were able to get. I'm with you, Chew. I guess they feel better about the backup offensive linemen they have on the roster than you and I do. But because you were only able to add one of those, and I guess that's why, again, Gutey, like you said, Jen, he's somebody who just wants as many swings as possible and to trade up a couple of different times and limit yourself to now just 6 picks in this draft class. That was certainly, I think, the most surprising thing to me, is because I thought if anything he would trade back. And after they traded up the first time, I did not think he was going to trade up a second time.
So very quickly, Gabe, your grade for Brian Gutekunst's draft in 2026.
I don't know. Whatever you want to give him. Well, because Chewy said,
we got the ambivalent teacher over here.
I wish I had a teacher like that.
Yeah,
well, what
exactly.
Do you think you should have got?
What do you think you should get? What do you want?
I mean, I don't think you can give him an A with just 6 draft picks. Maybe it turns into an A if a couple of these guys turn out to be studs, but it's just such a weird spot to be in because, again, I'm not sure if Cisse ends up being a starter or if it takes him a couple of years to develop. It seems like he is a guy from all the scouting reports I was looking at after he was taken that he might take a little bit. Like he's a really good athlete, raw athlete, but the reason why he's going where he went is because he needs a little bit of seasoning. So I don't know if he's going to be thrown in there right away.
But I do like, though, that they added competition. Because if nothing else, maybe adding St. Just and adding this kid Cisse, who, by the way, that is how you pronounce it. You're going to see it written. You're going to see it in paper and on the internet saying Cisse, and you're going to go, Sissy. And that is not how you say his name. It is Cisse. So let's just put that out there this morning as we continue this conversation. I like that it sort of was a wake-up call to the Keyshawn Nixons of the world to say, CB1?
It's not, it's not competition for Keyshawn's the one who's not in any competition. He's starting no matter what on one side of the field.
Sure, but what I'm saying is when you add all of these guys at that position, it is a wake-up call to be like, oh, maybe I haven't been good enough to lock down. I know you're saying there are 2 cornerback spots. He's going to get one of them. The point is when you add that competition, all of a sudden guys have to be on their P's and Q's. They have to perform in order to hold those spots. Because you don't think these dudes are going to want to go out and try to get a starting spot? They are.
Yeah, but again, it's for the opposite. The competition's for the opposite corner because Key's there, and I know
he's crazy because I really like Carrington Valentine. So
he's probably the third of the 3 right now on the other side because St. Just would probably be ahead of him. I would give they're probably going to give Cisse more of an opportunity than Valentine, mostly because Chewy he is not as interested. Even as interested as Deion Sanders was at tackling.
Yeah. Joshy, what was the negative on your guy, the dentist?
What?
DDS.
No, I understand, but...
That's a nickname everybody's been Brian.
Yeah, it's a great nickname.
All 3 names all year long. He's known as the dentist.
Or you could just say DDS. Either one works. But the thing is, and we talked to Justice Mosqueda from Acme Packing Company about this extensively on Saturday when he did get drafted. People, when somebody's 6'6" and an edge rusher, he gets the moniker of playing too high and not having good bend. The problem is when you watch him play, he has more bend than you think. He's just 6'6". 6'2" bending an edge looks a lot different than 6'6" bending an edge. Do you remember Robert Quinn and how he played? He looked like he played upright. You know who got around a lot of tackles and was able to maneuver through stuff like that? It was Robert Quinn. He was able to do it. You have to look at their ankles and the way they're moving, but yeah, it looks more upright. This happens often in the draft. Danielle Hunter, who just got a massive extension once again last season, he was a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
And you know what he did? He had production in college, much like DDS does, and he tested extremely well. The thing with DDS is he has he's in the Goldilocks zones of three cone. Basically, guys who are able to. So explain this to me. He doesn't have good bend, and he can't turn corners, but he can run a 3 cone fast as the wind. How are those two? How could you marry those two?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a misevaluation.
The thing I notice is long arms, and long arms are tough. I hate it. But I'll tell you, the toughest guy I had to go against was, I don't even remember his name, from Dallas. He was a good player, not great, but I struggled with him because his arms are so long. His hands were on, kind of a turtle action. Once he got good hand position on me, you're screwed.
Well, Penn State has had a lot of success with guys at that position as well, Chew. I think it was Mark Tauscher who wanted Chop Robinson in a draft or two ago, and he played with this guy, DDS, and Abdul Carter, who I think was top 3 in the NFL draft last year, was a teammate of DDS. And what they were saying is the production for that line didn't really drop off. Losing Chop Robinson and losing Abdul Carter, DDS was holding it down, and I think that's a huge endorsement for him as well. As we continue talking about the Packers 2026 NFL Draft this morning, 6 picks from Brian Gutekunst. We are reacting to it. Chewy gives him a B. Gabe is undecided. Is there anything that could... if they had 8 picks, Gabe, do you think you'd be more inclined to give them a better grade?
Sure. It's just so hard to grade a draft. I feel like no matter what, we're sitting here saying, oh, yeah, we kind of like these guys. Like Chewy said, we don't know until we get to see them on the field. So that's the tough part. But again, the things that I do like is there have been times, and granted it's been more often in the first round, but when you look at the Rashawn Garys and the Lucas Van Nesses of the world who did not have the college production, what I like that they got from defensive line, whether it's DDS, whether it's Chris McClellan out of Missouri, like these guys had production. McClellan from the interior had 6 sacks last year, 8 tackles for a loss in the SEC. So I like the fact that you're trying to do, to me, a little bit better job of marrying what you're seeing on the field in college, along with some of the freak athletic traits that Josh was just talking about when it comes to Dennis Sutton.
It's a Great Midwest Bank Mortgage Monday here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. If you're buying a home, you should apply for a stress-free mortgage from Great Midwest Bank and experience your state of banquility. Visit greatmidwestbank.com, 800-990-3776 if you want to react to the NFL Draft. I know you guys talked about it all weekend long as well, which was great. You can find that content on ESPN Wisconsin's app, rather. Let me ask you this. Is it fair to include Micah Parsons in the 2026 NFL Draft? Because I got to tell you, a big reason why we're talking about the number 6, as in the number of picks that Brian Gutekunst had, is because they gave up that first-round pick this year and next year. But wait, last year? Hold on.
This year and
next year. Thank you very much. And that obviously has to be taken into account. Like, if you put Micah Parsons in as a number 1 or first-round draft pick this year, this probably is easily.
But how are you doing that? Are you going half Micah this year, half Micah next year?
Half Micah this year, half Micah next year is still pretty good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, because there was 2 first-round picks.
You could make the argument that half Micah would be better than anything they could have gotten. And again, I don't know what direction they would have gone had they had a first-round pick, if they still would have carpet-bagged the cornerback position, or if they still would have gone defensive line. But I could make the argument that you got to equate and use Micah Parsons when you're grading this draft. Is that fair?
No. Not a part of the draft class.
No, it's got to stand alone.
Yeah, it's a great trade. I'm happy they made the trade, but Micah Parsons is not a part of this draft class.
I also don't agree with, as much as I admire and think he's the reason I'm as into the draft as I am, I don't like the idea that Mel Kiper downgraded the Packers draft because they didn't have a first-round pick. Like, we can't have it both ways. Either he gets included or he doesn't, and it doesn't count that way. The one thing I will say, it feels like this draft, more than any other, was the Packers having obvious needs and Gutey filling all of them and not making you really scratch your head until the 6th round where they traded up for a kicker. But if you look at it and you start putting the pieces together, all the Packers preferred UDFA picks, who they typically take late 6th and into the 7th, those are the guys they end up drafting if they go, we really want this guy. And that seems, those guys were all going off the board. I think 4 or 5 of them had gone off the board by the time they picked the kicker at that point. And that sort of changes the equation. Everyone talked about this being a weak draft and not having the amount of prospects everyone anticipated, it kind of seems like they looked at it and said, I don't think any of these guys left are worth us making a draft pick, so let's try and fix the kicker position.
Well, and Brian Gutekunst did address that when he spoke to the media over the weekend as well, saying that when they looked at the players who were still on the board in the 7th round, there wasn't anybody that really got him excited, which is why, Chew, they were willing to package a couple of those to move up to get a kicker. And look, we all lamented at very important times, maybe not all season long, but certainly in critical moments, the kicker situation. Again, I'm all for competition. You bring in a guy, and you could argue that, drafting a kicker puts a big spotlight on his back. You bring in a guy like that, that's going to add pressure to those guys who are already on the roster and tell them again, like I said earlier about the cornerback position, hey man, time to show us your best stuff. Because if you don't, now, I will say this. They did just give him the bonus, didn't they? They did just give McManus the bonus, didn't they?
Did.
That was the only thing. That was the only thing that made me scratch my head, Chew, because it was like, were you committed to him a month ago about the kicker situation? Yeah. Because if you were committed to him a month ago.
Also, 2 seasons ago, they gave a punter like $500,000 and then cut him 2 weeks later. So, if they think they have a better guy, they're just going to take it and let that money, when it's that low, walk away. They're just accepting of it. Did you see, Chewy, have you seen this?
Won't.
I want to show this to everyone. When Brian Gutekunst was asked how he scouts kickers.
Yeah.
How do you scout a kicker? Are you guys...
For those not watching on the YouTube stream, which you should be subscribing to the ESPN Wisconsin, ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream. Brian Gutekunst just stuck his hands up in the air in a touchdown / it's good field goal movement.
Which, if you compare it to, as Justice Mosqueda did the work, once again mentioning him, this guy did that a lot more than Anders Carlson, who's been one of the worst prospects in expected points when he was kicking field goals. So that's an improvement. That's better.
I don't know if you need to draft a kicker, though, is the problem.
They thought they did.
You dive into the numbers, and the majority of really good kickers in this league are drafted. You didn't need to waste a draft pick because, again, I like the fact that they added places where we thought they needed to. Corner, defensive tackle, edge. What I don't like is putting all of your running back eggs in the basket of a player who has played, 20 snaps in his NFL career?
Well, that's a great point by Gabe. That is the one position that I feel like you could scratch your head at. There is one guy. They have Chris Brooks there. Joshy with the victory lap on DDS. No. Joshy with the victory lap on Chris Brooks this morning.
He's being disingenuous because he knows Chris Brooks isn't an RB2. He knows the limitations of Chris Brooks. He loves Chris Brooks, but you're not turning around and handing the ball off 10 times to Chris Brooks.
Josh might have no option.
Josh did mention the undrafted free agents. There is a running back on that list in Jaden Nixon out of UFC. If you're paying attention to that, maybe he's a guy that sticks as well. But yes, I do think that the running backup certainly is a bit of a concern because, again, it forces Josh Jacobs to also stay healthy, and you know that he can't take every snap either. So what do they plan to do there? For me, I'm giving him a solid B. I think that the Micah Parsons thing should be considered in it because Micah Parsons is better than anybody you probably would have gotten. You know the production is there from Micah Parsons, so anybody you would have gotten in the first round is still a cross-your-fingers prospect you're hoping can contribute. They addressed the positions that they needed to address in cornerback, defensive line, and offensive line. And, oh, by the way, I'm okay with the kicker competition as well. If there wasn't anybody on the board that you were excited about, I'm okay with you saying, let's go out there and force some competition at a position that plagued us in critical moments in 2025. But let us know what you think. 800-990-3776. You can weigh in on the Carbless Talk and text line this morning. You can weigh in on the YouTube stream in the comments. What would you grade Brian Gutekunst's draft? Only 6 picks for a guy who typically likes double digits. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let us know. We'll keep having this conversation as Jen, Gabe, and Chewy rolls on.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Eastbound 94, we've got some delays right through the stadium interchange from Mitchell Boulevard to about 35th Street. Westbound's looking pretty good now. Northbound on 41, slowing down from Mayfair Road all the way up to Burleigh. On the southbound side, a little heavy between Good Hope Road and Appleton Avenue. Again, a little slow down right into the Capitol Drive area. Rest of the system is looking pretty good. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, we'll have rain or storms likely. Some severe storms possible later in the afternoon, a high of 60. Tonight, showers and storms will be ending, cloudy with a low of 49. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
May is Skilled Trades Month, a time to celebrate the hands-on careers that keep our industries and our communities moving forward. At Junior Achievement, students are discovering that today's skilled trades include technology, robotics, and smart manufacturing. With support from Rockwell Automation, students are exploring how advanced manufacturing and automation will power the factories of the future. Thank you, Rockwell, for helping inspire the next generation of technicians, engineers, and innovators. Learn more at ja.org.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
How are things at Kessler's Greenfield, Kelly?
Fantastic. I heard you have an idea for springtime. I love spring. I have a big collection of new life to show you.
New life is a spring thing.
Show us. I call it crosses and clovers. These are amazing. Well done, Kelly.
These are stunningly unique.
Kelly, the surface of this four-leaf clover is fantastic. What's it made of? Sarah, the surface of that lucky four-leaf clover is made of crushed black diamonds. Wow. I'm buying this one. How much? $185. In yellow gold vermeil, it's just $270. This cross, $90.
And these initials pendants?
These are $60.
Clovers, crosses, and personalized pendants.
And a leprechaun that says, they're magically delicious. Sarah, that's a breakfast cereal.
Kelly, you've done well.
Extremely well. Extremely very well. Happy springtime, everyone.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Planning a high-level event shouldn't feel overwhelming. I'm Tiara Gomez, founder of Events by Design. For over 25 years, we've helped companies turn complex, high-pressure events into seamless, unforgettable experiences. When trying to engage your team and pull off something meaningful, the details matter. From concept to execution, we design every event so it reflects your vision and delivers real impact. No missed moments, just refined experiences people will remember. Let's start designing today. Search online, Events by Design.
Got your tax refund? Before it mysteriously disappears, invested in something you'll actually see every day. Your home. At Exterior Pros and Baths, turn that refund into energy-efficient windows, durable roofing, new siding, or a beautiful bath remodel. And they'll take it even further with $3,000 off your project. That's $3,000 in instant savings during the April savings event. But don't wait. This offer won't last long. Call 262-800-4274 or visit extpros.com today. Exterior Pros and Baths. Big savings done right.
You're listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
And then you have Raj, who I didn't think he just didn't have the body type of a right tackle.
I have a question. I have a question. Who the hell are you talking about?
What's his name? Yash.
Raj? Like, I was thinking, okay,
who's Raj? You tell us, buddy.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy as we keep recapping the NFL draft. The Green Bay Packers get 6 new guys, not to mention the undrafted free agents who will sort of round out the roster potentially. And I want to call all gamers, jackpot chasers, and Monopoly lovers, get ready to relive your childhood because Monopoly just hit Potawatomi Casino Hotel, this time paying out real cash. Watch Mr. Monopoly race around the board, collecting gold bags and properties just like the game you grew up playing. Every spin moves him closer to bigger bonuses, bigger multipliers, and big-time Monopoly-style wins. It's your favorite TV game show hitting the casino floor, bigger, brighter, and more thrilling than ever. Be one of the first to step up and spin the wheel, only at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Reaction rolling in fast and furious this morning to the NFL draft. Chef Ed says, I give Gutey a C+. He drafted positions of need, but I don't like trading up for a kicker, which seems to be the one thing that people are marinating on, struggling with. Soren says, how the hell is this draft anything lower than an A? This might be Gutey's best draft of all time when it's all said and done. Get out of town talking about some B draft.
And go back and look at, some of the past draft. Like this draft is not going to have as many starters as 2023 or 2024.
Well, just there were 6 people.
Correct.
When you play the odds.
Yeah, you take a look at a draft that has Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, and Evan Williams. Gonna be tough to top that one if we're being completely honest.
DDS turns into a double-digit sack guy every year and a first-round value. You're going to be excited.
Murray weighing in saying, realistically, Trey Smack will probably be the only one of the draft picks that sees a significant amount of playing time this year, so that will be a good pick by the Packers. That's what Murray in the 414 is predicting. Chu, do you agree with that? That of the picks that they took this year, the kicker will be the one that sees the most significant amount of playing time?
Because I don't think it's going to be a fair competition at kicker just because they gave McManus that bonus, even though they are willing to walk away from it. It's just...
What are you willing to walk away from more, $1 million bonus or a draft pick? Or actually a couple of draft picks because you traded up to go get it.
Brian Gutekunst was asked that, though, over the weekend. Like, will it be a fair kicking competition? Do we have that sound, Josh, or you want me to just summarize it?
No.
Summarize.
I didn't think we'd have this much interest in a kicker. I'm going to be totally honest
It's crazy.
with everyone. It's the draft ended in the 5th round, everybody. Just get over it.
I think that's a really good point, man. The drop-off of the talent after the 5th round was pretty severe.
I thought they loved Haversack, too.
But that's the problem. That's ultimately the problem I had with it, is that you already had, if you wanted to have a kicking competition, you were already going to have it. Now you're wasting resources to go get it. There were 3 other running backs that went in the 7th round. That, maybe you wanted as UDFAs, but you could have used one of your 7th-round picks on them. And I just look at that backup running back position as more valuable than a 3rd kicker to add to the roster. And, again, you already gave the $1 million bonus, which I guess the Packers don't care about because they'll just, okay, this is what we're spending for the kicker. Doesn't matter if we're not paying this guy. And I just don't think that you need to draft a kicker. I did a little bit of research on kickers this morning.
Whoa.
So I did kickers who had the top 10 field goal percentage, kickers who had the top 10 makes, and the highest paid kickers. There is some crossover, so total 20 kickers on this list. 13 of them were undrafted free agents. Of the highest paid kickers, so the ones that obviously have proven something and have done it year in and year out, that guys that teams have decided wanted to pay, 7 out of those 10 are undrafted free agents. I just don't think you ever need to draft a kicker because you can find them literally anywhere, as we found out with Lucas Haversick last year.
But I also wonder if this is another Gutey pivot. Maybe Gutey came from the same school of thought as you, Gabe, where he thought we're not going to waste resources on a kicker. But then last year, the kicker was the thing, the Achilles heel in the most critical games that kept them from moving on. And I wonder if he was like, I need to devote some resources to that position so that we don't find ourselves in that same spot again.
They've already drafted a kicker before under Gutey, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, Anders Carlson, right?
Rich Bisaccia's gone. We can get away from that.
It doesn't mean Gutey made the pick. You can blame whoever you want, Josh, but Gutey made the pick. That's on his resume.
As somebody who listened to the audio, the full thing from Brian Gutekunst, even though I didn't want to care about kickers, he says explicitly in it, we lean heavily on our special teams coordinator.
Sure.
So
but
he's
still making the decision, man.
And he said Cam really liked this kid.
Yes. So, we could try and point elsewhere. It's very clear Rich Bisaccia had a lot to say in drafting the brother of the guy that he previously coached.
800-990-3776. Let's go out to the phone lines. Kyle in Milwaukee wants to weigh in on the draft. Kyle, what grade are you giving Brian Gutekunst for his picks in 2026? Morning, Kyle.
His name might not be Kyle.
Good morning.
Yeah. What you got?
All right, we're giving
wow,
up on
that was rough. Wow.
Here's what I can summarize. He told me the full thing. He gave it a B, and then he mentioned they do have, which I don't agree with this point. They do have more running backs because they signed or they brought in Josh Jacobs' brother to the mini
for
camp
the tryout
invite.
for like the mini camp tryout.
Yeah, that's just doing one of your players a favor. I think. I mean, he could end up being something, but it seems like a favor.
Well, yeah, I mean, those Cass Chu, you would know more than any of us, but those tryouts, it's very rare that somebody actually gets signed from one of them because, again, if we go back to what Josh was saying about the draft, and a lot of guys who were thought to be potentially undrafted actually got drafted. So now the undrafted list is shorter, which means the tryout list play. Like, there's a fall-down effect here of the tryout players not even being very good.
I wish him the best.
Yeah. If he's great, cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Wouldn't bet money
on quarterback? A free agent quarterback?
No.
Quarterback.
I didn't see one on the list. I can pull it up again.
Like Ritter then.
It seems like that's the plan.
Yeah. Oh, they did. I'm sorry. Chiron Drones, Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Okay. Wasn't he the mystery guy that they brought in that that eventually Bill Huber did get to report on? Because initially Huber said there was a mystery quarterback as part of the top 30 visits.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, it came out that it was
They
him.
do this typically with guys who can provide the looks on the scout team for a running quarterback. That's typically what they're looking for. They stash them on the practice squad, and that's kind of it.
Is that the book on Chiron Drones? I just don't know anything about it.
Athletic quarterback.
Yeah.
800-990-3776. Get us your reaction. And like I said, on the YouTube stream, it is popping off. Captain Matty Ice says B to B+, but closer to B, I think. I don't know what this says. DAS Commander Krieger. Yeah, let's congratulate Gutey on his best thing ever, question mark, question mark, question mark. His eval is suspect, and he's given way too much credit for anything that draws success. Meanwhile, Kurt says, hello, people. Lost 5 starters and took the Bears to the end. No Tom, no Kraft, no Parsons, no Jenkins. Kicker missed 3 field goals. This team, yes, lacks depth, but has enough. In a league, you need to catch some breaks. So I think that is an evaluation of the roster as a whole that says this team was good enough to be insert accomplishment here. I tend to say NFC Championship game had they been healthy. And Brian Gutekunst was just sprinkling. He was just addressing some positions that he would like to upgrade, which he did with cornerback, which he did with defensive line, giving maybe some backup depth to the offensive line. But across the board, this to me feels like Brian Gutekunst felt really good about the roster he had assembled last year, and he was just adding some seasoning, Gabe.
Yeah, I still have questions about depth of this roster, even after the draft. Yeah, you added bodies like you wanted to at corner, but I would say that the only position that you still feel good about, if there are injuries, is safety. But that it was going to be really hard to answer those questions, even with the draft picks, which is why I thought that they would try to stick with more of them, just to try to fill out some of that and have some bodies on the back half of that roster. I don't know if they, again, you always have to take what Gutey says with a grain of salt, right? But, talking about the way he likes the offensive line depth. I don't know if that's the way he truly feels. That's what I'm saying, Chu. I don't know if that's the way he truly feels. I think they do feel good about their starting 5. And after that, they need guys that they've drafted previously or have been on the roster previously to step up. Because I don't know how much Jagger Burton is going to be ready to go and ready to play and be that swing guy on the inside. I know they like Kennard as their swing tackle, and they think they've got a couple of different people who can play left tackle should there be an injury there. But yeah, there's still some depth. Again, I come back to running back 2. Some questions at that position. I think there's still some depth issues on the roster. Again, the starters are fine, but we all know there's going to be injuries at some point in time.
Me and Josh, talked about, I think, this on Friday, and people can't discount, all right, maybe you didn't want any of those free agents back that left this team, but they were contributors. They contributed, right? So we think we're fine at left tackle. That's still a question mark. We think Golden will be fine. Sorry. That's still a question mark. Marshawn Lloyd looks like he's going to be the backup running back. Still a question mark. So, we're fine, I guess, with those players leaving, but do not they still need guys to pick up those stats. And say what you want about, like Golden. Yeah. We think he can do it. Yeah, so do I. But thinking isn't getting it done. That's all I'm saying.
For what it's worth, specifically on the offensive line, and I know that this is not the end-all, be-all, but I see 3 names on this list of undrafted free agent signings for the Green Bay Packers. Some interior. I think they sort of went interior mostly. So again, not saying that those guys will make the roster, not saying those guys are going to be the savior if there are injuries, but I'm saying they did obviously pull some of those guys in there as well, and maybe one of them pops and ends up being your backup to whoever.
I forget what this streak is, but it kind of feels like this could be the year that the streak ends of a UDFA making the Packers opening 53. Kind of feels like it could be.
Just because the class is small.
Yes,
too.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
But because if the draft class isn't that deep,
right,
the undrafted free agent class can only be so deep as well.
I do think there's a chance the most likely spot would be the offensive line. Like, what is Jacob Monk on the team? He certainly didn't play like a guy who should be even the third string center when we saw him. What do they think of Travis Glover? I know Gutey mentioned recently he thinks he can come in and be a contributor. And then Donovan Jennings. Like, what are they doing there? I don't know. I think that's really the probably 8th, 9th, or 10th offensive lineman, however you'll have them lined up, are probably the spots that are still up for grabs for some of those young guys. I do think the one thing I will say, I think the wide receiver room and the edge room has improved because of the subtractions.
Fair enough.
I think those positions are going to be better off because they don't have the albatrosses around their neck of Romeo Doubs taking up so many snaps and Rashawn Gary taking up so many snaps. I think you can see upgrades.
I mean, how many snaps did Rashawn really take, Josh? We all know.
Too many,
Gabe.
The answer is too many. However many it was, it could have been 7. And it was too many snaps for Rashawn Gary to be taking.
Plenty of other snaps when you're not a high snap
I want to get to this reaction. James in the 828 says, I made fun of my wife for picking a kicker in the 6th round of our fantasy football draft. Then she won the league. I won't be making fun of her anymore. Lots of reaction rolling in on the draft. Richard in the 920 says, the fact that we're crabbing about kickers is great. It means Gutey nailed this draft. I give him an A-. Ashton in Sheboygan says, the draft feels fine, addressed some weaknesses, but if you count Micah Parsons, it is an A+. 800-990-3776. Get us your reaction to the 2026 NFL draft for your Green Bay Packers. They also made a move early in the weekend in the wide receiver group. We're going to talk about Jaden Reed when we come back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Hey, Milwaukee, let's celebrate Ewald Automotive Group's 62-year anniversary sale. It's here. It's going on right now. This month, we're celebrating with anniversary savings on over 1,400 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get payments as low as $250 a month, financing as low as 0%, plus 2 years of included maintenance on us. It's the Ewald Automotive Group 62-year anniversary sales event happening this month at every Ewald location. Great service, great sales team. They're going to take care of you. You can head over to ewaldauto.com.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Slowing down along westbound 94 right through the stadium interchange from about 35th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. On the eastbound side, we've got delays now from about 70th Street all the way to 35th. Northbound on 41, slowing down from Mayfair Road up to Burleigh. Southbound's heavy from before Good Hope Road, pretty much from 145 all the way down past Appleton Avenue, almost to Silver Spring. You're back on the brakes from Hampton down to Capitol Drive. Traffic is brought to you by Racine Danish Kringles. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Send Mom a fresh and delicious Kringle. Order today at Kringle.com or call 1-800-4DANISH. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today we'll have rain or storms likely. Some severe storms possible later in the afternoon, high of 60. Tonight, showers and storms will be ending, cloudy with a low of 49. Weather's brought to you by Infinity Exteriors, dedicated to saving our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Mother Nature can be unpredictable. Your roof siding and windows shouldn't be. We install peace of mind with transparency and quality guaranteed. Visit infinityexteriors.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Hey, better. Swing into Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee for the $300,000 Big League Series. Just play with your rewards card over 3 months to earn entries. Here's the lineup. Leading off April, on deck May, in the hole June. All monthly entries you earn will roll into drawings on Friday, June 26th, where you could win cash, free play, or one of 3 new Toyota vehicles. It's the $300,000 Big League Series. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
It's Mike with Infinity Exteriors. I've seen it all, Wisconsin. Sketchy sales gimmicks for low-quality windows, siding that costs more than a new home, fly-by-night roofers. 60,000 happy customers made a better choice. Infinity Exteriors roofing, siding, and windows all come with our lifetime workmanship warranty, no overcharges, and transparent pricing. At Infinity Exteriors, we're on a mission to save our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Visit infinityexteriors.com.
Why DIY your frozen pizza toppings when Screamin' Sicilian already went over the top for you? We're talking whole milk mozzarella, heaps of premium meats, a mountain of veggies. Screamin' Sicilian is frozen pizza stacked, no add-ons needed. Mamma mia! Screamin' Sicilian, so loaded with toppings, it's almost cheating. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer section and taste what all the screamin' is about.
Turn those hoop dreams into reality with Precision Sports, your one-stop shop in southeastern Wisconsin for Mega Slam, Ironclad, and Dominator basketball hoop systems. Installation of new or old hoops and completely customizable painted court lines. PrecisionSportsOnline.com.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Customizable just for you. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today.
Don't think twice. Call Geist.
Don't let a busted garage door get you down. Call my friends at Geist today. For 70 years, Geist has been the trusted garage door authority in Wisconsin. With brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have doors for every budget and will even build custom designs to get your exact needs. For swift and reliable garage repair solutions, go to geistdoors.com. That's GEIS doors.com. You can also visit their amazing showroom in Brookfield, featuring hundreds of doors and openers and their custom design room.
Don't think twice. Call Geist.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
It's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Unbelievable that they ran all over this vaunted defense, this elite defense.
What Kool-Aid?
Why? It was poop Kool-Aid, and we gobbled it down.
On 94.5 ESPN.
One of the conversations we have pretty often here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy is the number of wide receivers that Matt LaFleur and company are trying to get targets to. And we always felt like it was sort of a fool's errand. I had a change of tune, a change of heart. I was saying, no, it's so great to have all these guys out there that you can throw the ball to on any given play, on any given down and distance. That's a luxury. It never worked out that way. And so I switched back to, we need a number one. We need a guy, a go-to, in case of emergency, break glass. This is the guy who can move the chains. I like that philosophy better after watching the other philosophy just absolutely crash and burn. So this weekend, Packers make a move. They give Jaden Reed a pretty substantial extension. It's a 3-year, $50.25 million extension that includes $20 million guaranteed and keeps him in green and gold through 2029. Now, maybe you sit there and go, well, that also sort of makes sense why they moved on from Dontavian Wicks. We're willing to trade him, because they were going to, quote unquote, feature Jaden Reed more. So, Chewy, I'll begin with you on this. When you saw this news and you saw this number, what did you think it meant for Jaden Reed's future in Green Bay from a production standpoint?
I still think he's going to be a 3, even though that's kind of 2-ish money, Gabe.
Not anymore.
That's not number 2 money? Like, what's the average there? 17?
Just a hair under 17, yes.
16 less guaranteed than both Wan'Dale Robinson, who would be a comp, and as well Romeo Doubs.
I mean, Dobbs money is, he's a hair under the Dobbs money, and Dobbs would probably be number 2 money.
You think Dobbs money affected Jaden's money? You think Jaden's people looked over and went, excuse me, Look at what they did.
Obviously not.
Yeah, they took less.
They took less
Almost
than
half.
Yeah, in terms of guaranteed money.
But they know that Jaden's going to be the 3. I mean, it's going to be Golden, Watson, and then Jaden. My initial reaction is that's 2 guys now. Christian Watson's going to want to get paid.
Yeah,
and my guess is they're probably negotiating with him.
I don't think the Jaden thing affects the Christian Watson thing whatsoever.
Gabe, I'm telling you, when there were players like that beneath me that are getting paid more than I do, you start the you know what.
Yeah, but
I'm telling you,
that
is. You're
that contract's not kicking in this year for Jaden. It starts next year. So, and Christian Watson knows that the bidding for his services is the number it starts at dwarfs this contract that Jaden
I
Reed
would
just
say, because I think they're probably soft negotiating with Watson, and they're probably around 23, 22, 23.
That's
trying
not
to get him on the cheap.
That ain't happening. My guess is
be a
that
favor.
Yeah, Christian would have to do the Packers a favor.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I just don't think he's going
Christian knows the number is whatever Pierce got, 28.
28 a year.
Because there's your comp. It's just because I signed an extension in the middle of the season, and I know, they slow roll it. And the more games you play and the better you play, the more leverage you get. And then the other side starts to panic a little bit. So I don't think they want him getting to free agency.
No, but they have to, in order to do that, you got to give something up. It's not just all, hey, this is going to benefit us. Like, what are the Packers offering Christian Watson that would make him want to sign something that would be less than market value?
Well, he's had one ACL, like I said. There is the threat of injury. And that's just something you have to measure, because when I did my extension, I had bad Achilles, and then thank God for magnets, and the season was moving along, and that went away. Well, they lost their leverage because their leverage is like, hey, that Achilles is going to go at any time. Let's not do it.
Hold on a minute, guys. I do want to hear from Matt LaFleur on this, okay? Because Matt LaFleur did weigh in on the Jaden Reed situation when he had his availability this weekend. Let's hear from Matt LaFleur on the impact of this extension.
No, it's big time. I think you talk about a guy that's a culture setter and the epitome of what we want representing our football team in regards to just how he prepares and how he goes out there and plays, and he never takes a play off, and you're always going to get his best. And I think one thing that's unique about him is just his ability to, bring others with him. I think he's a real leader for us.
Matt LaFleur obviously praising Jaden Reed. We know that they like him as a member of the wide receiver group. That goes without saying, Gabe. But how do you see him being used with this contract?
When I initially heard it, you're going, oh, wow, I can't believe they paid Jaden Reed. Because I had questions if they're going to pay Jaden. Because, again, they don't play
like
him.
They were going to let him walk in free agency type of thing?
Potentially, because they don't play him a ton. Like, I shouldn't say they don't play him a ton, because he plays a decent amount, but he doesn't play the typical amount of snaps that you would think for certainly not a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. Those aren't the types of snaps that he's typically getting, because he's been limited through the first 2+ years, because last year was kind of a wash because of the injury he suffered in week 2. He's been exclusively a slot guy. So anytime they don't have somebody, a formation or a play called where someone's in the slot, he typically hasn't been in there. He's just not playing on the outside. And then the more you dig into this contract, this is about, if you've got a pretty good number 3 guy, this is probably the contract that you're giving someone. Because the numbers and the money just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up, especially at the wide receiver position. So, they're paying him. I thought, okay, that means they got to play him more. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be true. Because, again, the type of money that he got isn't top of the market even for a number 2.
When you talk about order of operations, Chu, it feels like this had to get done if this was the path they were going to go before the Watson thing, right? Like, if you're the Green Bay Packers and you know that you want to keep Jaden Reed and you want to keep Christian Watson, the last thing you want to do is have Jaden Reed, who was the leading receiver for this team the last 2 seasons, sit there and go, oh, that's what you're giving Christian Watson, and have Drew Rosenhaus and company try to use that as a benchmark for what their client deserved.
Yeah, they play different positions.
100%. I understand all of that. I'm simply saying that, to me, it makes sense to get this done first so that it is done, signed, sealed, delivered on the dotted line so that it doesn't even come into consideration once you start talking to Watson.
Yeah, but, Rosenhaus knows what Watson's going to get. I think everybody kind of knows the ballpark market for what Christian Watson looks like. And I don't think that affected this deal whatsoever.
I can't help but wonder if his people would have looked at it and said, but our guy's been more productive and healthier than that guy for his time, for his duration with the Packers. Like, whether or not the Packers bite on that or are forced to move the number is one thing, but I don't know why you wouldn't use that in a negotiation.
Who's a better wide receiver, Chew? Who's physical? Who's a better wide receiver? Christian Watson or Jaden Reed? I know the numbers say it would be Jaden Reed, but I think every NFL team would rather have Christian Watson.
I think the important part is if you're going to keep all three of the guys that are due extensions, Reed, Watson, and Kraft, you start with Reed because that helps you guarantee you can get it all done then. Because if you start negotiating, his number goes up. Like, you already know what you're looking at for both those guys following with Kraft and Watson. This one, you get it done, then you're like, hey, guess what? Now we can do all three of these extensions if we want to.
But it was smart with Reed because he knows that Watson and Golden are going to be the starters, and his numbers probably aren't going to change. So he's like, I'm not the receiver in this type of offense that can go out unless a couple guys get hurt, go out and catch 90 balls. He knows he's going to be around that 60 to 70, which turns out to be a good signing of where the money's at.
And if he ends up,
this is their favorite. This is if you have a tight end, this is their favorite personnel grouping. 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 back. This is their money grouping. So it was a good signing. It was fair. I think both sides were fair. It's just because when I signed my deal, Keith was pissed. And I said, hey, get whatever you can. I don't care if you get more than me or whatever. I got mine, go get it. And they gave him the exact same amount. I'm just saying, sometimes players are like, hey, what the hell? Where's mine?
Yeah, but I mean, they've already worked out. Like, Christian already has, it's not like he's nothing, right? Like, they gave him the extension to scratch his back, to kind of make sure, hey, we got you. You're taken care of. You're coming back from the ACL. You don't have to rush back. You've got guaranteed money coming on the other side of this thing.
We heard from Matt LaFleur just a few moments ago, Chew, and he was talking about, Jaden Reed being a good guy. And I think something that is probably underrated is that none of these guys are disgruntled anymore, right? The Packers did a good job this offseason of sort of sweeping away the disgruntledness, right? So I have a feeling that these guys actually are rooting for each other. That Jaden Reed is rooting for Christian Watson to break the bank. That they do want to see Tucker Kraft get his due. And I think that sort of like connectivity also pays big dividends in a wide receiver room like this. Before we go, I want to hear from Matt LaFleur on one more thing. Matt LaFleur on spreading targets around. Take a listen to this.
I think at the end of the day, if, we're going to continue to push, especially the bottom of the roster, to try to help make us better. But I think I don't think we've ever lacked talent at that position. And I think a year ago, I think we all saw it, man. It was hard to get everybody the amount of touches that we'd like to get them. So I think this is an opportunity to kind of reset everything. And we've got more opportunities, I would say, for everybody in that room.
But let me just say this, though. The security blanket's kind of gone because there were a handful of games where 2 receivers were out, right? Reed was out for a good part of the season, and some of those other guys missed a game. There's no more, hey, throw Wicks in, we'll be fine, or. So there is a little bit of a drop-off off of those 3. We don't know what Savion Williams in, and then you have Bo Melton. We don't know what the hell position he's playing.
It's got to be a wide receiver after not taking one.
The security blanket is a little bit gone.
Sure, but
Fine.
also
okay with that.
Yeah, but if everybody has defined roles, which again, my working theory has been, all right, some guys were upset. Pretty easy to circle that wide receiver room of, oh, guys didn't know what their roles were. Yeah, no kidding, because you were shuffling guys in and out other than Romeo Doubs on who knows what basis. I think by defining the roles and having a set 3 that you really like, it's A, going to be easy to define those roles, and B, easier to target the guys that deserve the targets on the team.
And Matt LaFleur just said as much.
Yeah.
Right? Matt LaFleur just on tape, on film, at the podium admitted that the way they were doing it didn't work, wasn't working, and they've had to reset. So I feel like this Jaden Reed extension is part of that reset. Jaden Reed, we're going to pay you like a number 3 because we expect you to be our number 3. We're not in and out of the lineup. Now, I know we haven't talked about it and we're running out of time here on Jaden Reed, but there were concerns about his ability against man coverage. Do we feel like in the offseason he's put the time in? That's something he is focused on that is going to be an improvement. Will we see it right away? Chew, an improvement from Jaden Reed when he faces man.
He's going into year 3 or 4?
4.
Yeah, we know what he is. We know what he is.
I mean, teams are playing so much.
Everyone should know their weaknesses. But I think we're close to knowing what he is, and we still don't know if he can play out in space by himself. Like if Golden went down for a game or two, can he become the Z and be the focus of the offense that week? That I don't know. Because his big plays early on in these last couple of years have been kind of gadgety.
Yeah, a little catch and run. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, little scheming to get open, and he'll take it 80 yards or whatever. So I don't know. But I think it was a good signing.
Take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. I'm glad you dropped that in there at the end.
Yeah.
Now we know where you stand. So much more to get to on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Still an entire hour of breaking down the NFL draft. Green Bay gets 6 picks. Give us your grade. We put it on the YouTube stream, A, B, C, or D for Brian Gutekunst and company.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN. Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on April 28th.
Terrio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in April 28th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
A huge month of Brewers baseball kicks off with a battle against the Yankees Friday, May 8th through Sunday, May 10th. Catch the Crew for half off with Wisconsin's first Friday game tickets on Friday the 8th. Plus, Mother's Day Sunday is the perfect game to bring the whole family with new kids experiences every Sunday. Plus, the first 10,000 fans over the age of 21 get a Brewers picnic blanket at the Mother's Day game, courtesy of American Family Insurance. Score your tickets at Brewers.com.
Some companies build projects. At Professional Construction, Inc., we build relationships.
That means showing up early, taking pride in the details, and having each other's backs, on and off the job site.
We're looking for skilled carpenters who really care about their craft and want to be part of a team.
Not just another paycheck, but a place where the people you work with actually matter.
If you work hard, take pride in what you build, and want to join a tight-knit crew, then we'd love to meet you.
Apply today at professionalconstructioninc.com.
Looking for a dinner that actually impresses and cocktails that keep the conversation going? Head to the second floor of St. Kate the Arts Hotel and discover the Studio Kitchen and Cocktails. Bold, elevated dinners, thoughtfully crafted cocktails. It's the kind of place where every plate and every pour is made with intention. Come for dinner, stay for another round. The Studio Kitchen and Cocktails on the second floor at St. Kate the Arts Hotel.
You know what scared Kathy more than surgery? Giving up her active life, turning down opportunities to do the things she loves.
I found myself saying, no, I don't want to do that because of pain. It was really limiting my activities in every way.
And then came the diagnosis.
You need 2 full knee replacements. I don't have time for a double knee replacement, and I don't like pain, so no.
But that's not how her story ends. She tried something different, QC Kinetics. It was cutting edge, but natural and much easier on her body, with thousands of patient success stories.
I went to QC Kinetics. Within a couple of weeks, I was absolutely pain-free, no pain. I feel fantastic. Too much life to live, and I want to stay in motion as long as I possibly can.
Don't let pain decide what you say yes or no to. Live your best life. They'll make sure of it at QC Kinetics, starting with a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-240-2298. That's 414-240-2298. 414-240-2298.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Evan Cohen here. In life, as in sports, the pros make it look easy. That's why pro golfers like Jason Day, Ben Griffin, and Patton Kazire trust the pros in lawn care. True Green. They have the experience and expertise to give you a lawn worthy of the PGA Tour. And since True Green does the work for you, you get more free time, or more tee times. So stop stressing over your lawn and start loving it. Sign up now at TrueGreen.com because nobody makes it easier to get a golf course quality lawn than True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
I'm going to go with the corn dog, the old corn dog. The corn dog for the
Pierogies
birthday.
and borscht all day long.
That's just crazy. Nobody likes borscht, let alone
God,
on their
it's
birthday.
so good. It's the only thing that makes my mouth water, other than my wife.
On 94.5 ESPN.
For 70 years, Geist has been the trusted garage door authority in Wisconsin. Don't let a busted garage door get you down. Call my friends at Geist today. Brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have doors for every budget. They'll even build you custom designs that meet your exact needs. For swift and reliable garage repair solutions, go to geistdoors.com. It's GEIS doors.com. Don't think twice. Call Geist. All right, Chew. Tell us about TSA. Something happened this weekend?
Yeah, well,
I love it
something
when
happens every weekend when I travel with my wife.
I love it when he sighs right out of the gate, just like,
son of a biscuit.
Because something always happens. So we go to Key West for the girl's birthday. We go to breakfast on Saturday, and I don't know if you guys have been to Key West, but they kind of let the roosters just do whatever they want, right? They don't bother you. They just walk in the restaurant. Well,
these are actual roosters we're talking about here. I thought it was a nickname for somebody.
No, they just wander.
Chewy has,
wherever.
one too many mimosas at brunch. He starts walking around like a rooster, just kind of pecking the head.
So they're fine. They don't bother me, but obviously they bother her. And she lets the waiter know it. So the waiter brings over a squirt gun. Okay? And said, if the roosters come close to you and you don't like it, just squirt them with the squirt gun and they'll shuffle away. I'm like, great. But then she turns into Miss Annoying. And I become the target.
I was about to say, so now she's a child because she has a squirt gun. I understand it.
Well, whom amongst us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very understandable why she would turn into, because again, when's the last time you had a squirt gun?
But the easiest way to, get her to knock it off is to pretend it doesn't bother you.
Okay.
Which after the fifth time is starting to become very annoying.
I was about to say,
So
I think that's very hard for you.
How long can you pretend, sir?
I think this is very difficult for Chewy.
That's not even the issue. So we get our bags, we bring them down to the restaurant, have a little bite to eat, and she's got the squirt gun still. And I say, throw that thing away, because if it goes through TSA, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. Not listening. I said, throw the damn thing away. So when we are down there, we have a jeweler who Angry knows real well, and we're getting our daughter for her 21st birthday a very nice bracelet. A bougie, where they make knockoffs. But this wasn't the knockoff. This is just too good to be true. So we go to the airport. She's got the big bag with the bracelet in there and a few other things, and I've got the rollaway carry-ons. Goes through TSA. Flagged. They're sitting there talking about it for about a good 5 minutes, maybe 7.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
Yeah, they found the squirt gun.
The
and they're
dumbass
like,
didn't take the gun out, and it's in there. So TSA comes over and goes, whose bag is this? Oh, it's mine. Pulls her over. Ma'am, we know it's fake, but we just need you to tell us it's fake. It's not fake. Why would you think it's fake?
Oh, no.
It's real. She's talking about the bracelet.
They're talking
she
about
thought
the
the
squirt
bracelet was a knockoff, and TSA was ripping on her. Bring over another TSA guy. Ma'am, now you're telling us that this is real? Well, hell yeah, it's real. I'm like, Officers, will you tell her what you are talking about, and then she'll tell you what she's talking about. Ma'am, the squirt gun in there. Oh, I thought you were talking about the bracelet. Now,
why would
the
TSA give a rip about a bracelet being real or not? You know?
Now, they said, man, we could, and they're laughing because they see just steam coming out of my ears.
Yeah.
And they're like, we could technically fine you $500, so you don't want to do this again. Okay, la-di-da. Yeah.
But I can see her standing there defiantly like, it's real. Why would you think it's fake? And them going, ma'am, we're trying to give you a get-out-of-jail-free card here.
Yeah.
Why are you packing a squirt gun in the... I mean, again, you got the squirt gun from the restaurant. Why is that going in the luggage in the first place?
Yeah, why didn't you return it to the restaurant?
You know why? Because it's free. And she rips on Blammer for doing this stuff.
But it's a squirt gun. What is she going to use a squirt gun
She's
for?
going to shoot Chewy. What are we kidding? She had so much fun shooting Chew with the squirt gun.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm taking this home with me.
Or again, like, take the $500 TSA just saved you and go get a really nice super soaker.
She just does not listen. She doesn't listen. And I've told her a million times. I said, if I snore, squirt me with the squirt gun. Now, I don't want to do that. I want you to be awake when I squirt you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's how the trip ends.
So after this, and I guess I know the answer to this question, was she at least somewhat contrite?
No. It's like flying with a 3-year-old.
I'm biting my tongue. So I got steam coming out of my ears hearing the story. I mean, goodness.
Can you imagine with Mussolini?
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, Chew.
I still
Good
don't
stuff,
understand,
man.
even though it's free, I still don't understand it making it into the luggage.
You do. You understand. She wanted to use it on Chew. Little pew, pew,
No,
pew.
it's going to go somewhere, and Chewy's going to find that thing 3 years from now in the garage.
It's kind of on me because I should have smashed the thing right in front of her.
But
I gave her the benefit.
Hey,
step on it.
Now, I think you're starting to pick it up. You're starting to figure out. Yeah, that is on you. You got to know your personnel, Chew.
Yep, I agree.
What grade would you give the Packers 2026 NFL draft class? Weigh in on that on our YouTube stream. We'll be right back after this.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Delays on southbound 43 starting just south of Silver Spring down past Capitol Drive all the way to Locust. We've got southbound 41 also backing up from 145 down all the way to Capitol Drive. The northbound side's a bit heavy as well just before Mayfair Road up past Burleigh and again past Capitol Drive up to Hampton. And then on eastbound 94 we've got backups from 76th Street all the way through the Stadium interchange to about 35th. The westbound side slowing down from 35th Street to Hawley Road. Some more delays from Moreland to Calhoun. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today we'll have rain or storms likely. Some severe storms possible later in the afternoon, a high of 60. Tonight, showers and storms will be ending, cloudy with a low of 49. Weather's brought to you by Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more. For custom apparel that helps your team, business, or event stand out, choose Big Frog. Visit bigfrog.com/Mequon. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with eligible accounts on Venmo. Just download the PayPal app, share all the moments that matter. Account with PayPal is required, not available in all regions where PayPal operates. Evan Cohen here. Game day brings the excitement. Your stay should feel just as memorable. With Marriott Bonvoy, official hotel partner of the NCAA and U.S. Soccer, you're connected to a portfolio of brands designed for how you travel. Some offer complimentary breakfast, others give you room to spread out, space to stay productive, or extended stay comforts. So whether you're a traveling fan or part of the team, Marriott Bonvoy celebrates the moments that live on before and after the game. Marriott Bonvoy, where game day checks in.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen. Tune into the Rich Eisen Show weekdays from 12 to 2, right here on 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Shoot. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamara. Here's Jen Latta.
Recapping the 2026 NFL Draft for your Green Bay Packers this morning. And they did address their positions of need. For weeks leading into the draft, we talked about the cornerback position, needing to upgrade the talent there. We talked about the defensive line, even though they have Micah Parsons. What is that going to look like going forward? They addressed that. And then they sprinkled in a kicker, just for fun, moving up from the 7th round to the 6th to grab Trey Smack from Florida, who is expected to compete for the starting kicking job. So the big question, of course, after the draft and after they figure out all of these slots on the roster is how much closer does Brian Gutekunst think that this team he has assembled, to getting them to the Super Bowl? Take a listen to Brian Gutekunst. Nope, we'll take a minute. Joshy's giving me the wave off. Gabe, I'll ask you before we get to Brian Gutekunst.
Okay.
How much closer are they to being a Super Bowl team after this draft?
This draft was never going to determine if the Packers were a Super Bowl contender or not. Because the roster, again, we're looking for depth pieces. And when you don't have a first-round pick, yeah, maybe a second-round pick certainly can help you. But I still think the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. This was never going to make or break them because the roster is in a spot where it's more about competition for backup spots, and these guys could be contributing down the line when other people leave. Like, as much as I like the Chris McClellan pick, I don't know how much he's going to be playing this year. Probably going to play a whole heck of a lot next year after they sort out what's happening on the defensive line. Whether or not they decide they want to keep, Javon Hargrave for more than a year based on the way that contract is. Whether or not Devontae Wyatt is sticking around. Right now, he's a rotational piece. And I don't think he's going to be, certainly he's going to have some sort of impact on 2026, but he's going to have a bigger impact in 27 and 28. Dennis Sutton, Josh's guy DDS, yeah, maybe he becomes a bigger piece as the season moves along. But again, I think it's more about the future after somebody like maybe Lucas Van Ness is no longer on this roster because the Packers are not going to give him that fifth-year option. So his future in Green Bay is in doubt. This roster, I guess, honestly, the one who could have the biggest impact, whether or not the Packers are playing in the Super Bowl, is probably the one I've got the biggest issue with, in Trey Smack. If he ends up beating out not just Brandon McManus, but also Lucas Havrasik, because as we saw with McManus, the kicker ends up being such an important part, but I still think it's an uphill battle for Smack in order to make the roster and beat out the two incumbents.
It's just the question marks. I went through some of them, but you still have the question marks. All right, Micah Parsons, Tucker Kraft, and Zach Tom. How quickly can they get back up to where they were playing before, right? Those are more question marks. Yes, this is a Super Bowl roster, but with a Super Bowl roster, you need a lot of luck, and they didn't have luck last year. They just didn't. I mean,
Chewy, I would say, again, the example of that is the last couple of seasons going into the year, I would have said the San Francisco 49ers probably have a Super Bowl roster. They didn't make the playoffs 2 years ago, and this past season, they were still pretty beat up going into the postseason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be the example to use.
So let's hear. Go ahead, Chew.
It's just injuries. I mean, they're going to have injuries. It's just you can't have a bunch of injuries at the same position, and you can't lose multiple A players or studs. No one can weather that. So, and then 60% of it falls. It's just the way it goes. 60% of it is Jordan Love. If Jordan Love has an MVP top 3 type season, that covers up a lot of scars, So you hate to say that much is on a player, but it really is.
Well, I'll take it one step further, and I'll piggyback off of this comment from John on the YouTube stream. He says, getting to the Super Bowl is about coaching. Matt LaFleur doesn't have it. So, Chu, you're saying that Jordan Love plays a big role in whether or not this team gets to the Super Bowl or not. And John is saying it's going to be about how Matt LaFleur calls this offense, how he manages the clock, how he manages the team as a whole. I tend to agree that those things are probably bigger than what the roster looks like today at the end of April. But let's hear from Brian Gutekunst, who talked about whether or not he believes this team is closer to getting to the Super Bowl.
For many years, but how much closer do you feel over the last 3 days that you and the team got to the ultimate goal of obviously getting back to the Super Bowl and winning?
Yeah, I think, when you're looking at the draft, our most seasons are determined by the guys that are coming back, not necessarily the guys who are getting to the draft. These guys are just starting their NFL journey, and there's so much in front of them. And I feel really good about all of them, and I think they're going to have, a chance to have an opportunity to be very good players in this league. But, you don't win the Super Bowl during the draft, But certainly I felt like over the course of this 3 days that we did some good things to help our football team and help the group that's coming back. But it remains to be seen how these guys' NFL careers will go.
Felt like a cop-out. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying that Brian Gutekunst by saying, I don't know how much these guys will help us get to the Super Bowl. But if you believe that the Packers' window is currently open, which I believe we all do, especially with the way that Jordan Love has been playing, especially with the way that they have committed draft capital, the Micah Parsons situation, they're paying guys to be solid contributors, big on production. It feels like this window is wide open. And so I would say that while the window is open, Gutey, you have to take every opportunity to improve your roster. And that's what the draft is. So I know he's sitting here saying, well, the jury's still out on whether or not these guys are going to. I'm sorry. They have to. In some capacity, they have to contribute to getting you closer to a Super Bowl. Otherwise, what's the point? And look, it could be, Gabe, that he thinks that last year's roster, if healthy, is a Super Bowl contending team. And therefore, as I said earlier, these are just sort of addendums, accoutrement, if you will. But in any case, they have to help contribute in some way. Maybe it's the way that they contribute to the locker room from a dynamic standpoint. Maybe it's the way they push the starters. But why do a draft at all if it's not going to contribute to the ultimate goal of getting to the Super Bowl?
Well, but you're also at the mercy of how good the draft is. And if we're talking about it not being great depth, then how much of these guys can they? If it takes a little bit more seasoning, if there aren't as many NFL-ready players in this year's draft, then you're kind of, which is the explanation that Gutey gave for giving up the 2 7th-rounders and moving up to get Trey Smack. So if the draft isn't that deep, I guess I can't expect these players to have that much of an impact. Yeah, obviously they're going to have some of an impact. If you make the opening day roster, if you make the practice squad, if you're going to be active on game day, you're ultimately going to have some sort of impact. But, yeah, I'm not expecting, just, again, based on where the roster was heading into the season, I'm not expecting a huge impact out of this draft class versus, the 2024 draft class where Edgerrin Cooper, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, all were able to step up and be starters because those were positions that were available for them to step up and take and be contributors onto a defense in 2024.
They just have to step up, and injuries is the easiest one, like when a guy's injured. If you're playing the Cleveland Browns and Keyshawn Nixon's out or Hargrave is out, they have to come in and just keep it all together. They can't be a liability. You can't put, the corner they drafted in the second round with Keyshawn out and get toasted, Just got to get them. It's kind of like Malik Willis, All right, Jordan's going to be out for 2 games. It's got to be a totally different game plan. Malik, just don't lose it for us. Do what you do and get us until Jordan is back. It's kind of the same thing with these young guys. You can't be playing the Cleveland Browns and 2 of their D linemen are out and all of a sudden you give up 220 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that, Like you said, Gabe, they're not projected to be starters, but contributors is what you need from a draft class like this.
So you said something earlier, too, and it just got me thinking. So I want to ask the question, and I'm curious what everyone's answers here are, because a big part of your formula to win a Super Bowl, what you believe it takes to win a Super Bowl, A players got to play like A players, some C's got to play like B's, maybe a B has to play like an A. How many A players do you need, and who are those A players for the Packers?
Well, obviously Jordan's an A player on offense. Tucker Kraft.
Yep.
Watson.
Oh, you would put Watson on that list?
Yeah, because I just think if he's... I just have questions about Reed right now bumping up to a 1 or a 2.
So, I wrote down 6 names with a question mark next to... Or, excuse me, 5 names with a question mark next to a 6.
Gabe, I'm not saying they are A's. I'm saying they have to play like A's.
Okay.
How many A's do you need on the offensive line? You guys keep mentioning Zach Tom. Is that enough?
I don't think you need any.
I mean, I would prefer for there to be more. I would prefer...
but I just look at our offensive line when we won it all. We didn't have any. We had solid B's across the board that played very well together. You know, I would say the only A potential is Zach Tom.
Right.
You know?
Xavier McKinney? I have him on my list.
That was on my list.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Josh Jacobs? I mean, he wasn't an A last year, but the year before he was clearly an A.
I would
Say
agree.
what you want about the offensive line.
I think he can be in any given season.
Yeah.
He is getting older.
You know, maybe he's one of those B's that plays like an A.
Yeah. I also think both Evan Williams and Endrin Cooper have real opportunities to be A players.
So that's where I put Cooper. I put a question mark. So the 5 I wrote down Tom, Love, Kraft, Micah, and Xavier, and then I had a question mark next to Cooper because I think he has the potential to be an A player. I just don't think he has done it yet.
Right,
Gabe. He's one of those B players that has to play like an A.
So all of this is tied together because we started this conversation talking about how much closer the Packers are to being a Super Bowl team with the addition of this draft class. And I think it is important to mention something that Gabe sort of touched on, which is that no draft exists in a vacuum. This draft this year is predicated, well, we know wholly on last year's acquisition of Micah Parsons, but similarly in what they did in last year's draft. And you mentioned some of those players who have popped, who you hope will continue to grow in their roles. So when that happens, the GM doesn't have to focus as much attention on those positions. They can put their attention elsewhere, which is what Brian Gutekunst did. I keep using your term, Chewy, carpet bagging. The fact that they went out and got St. Juice this offseason, the fact that they dedicated 2 draft spots to cornerbacks. They clearly want an upgrade at that position, and that is a byproduct of some of the other things that have come down the stretch. So as I sit here and try to say, did this draft get them closer to the Super Bowl? In and of itself, no. But the way that it fits in the puzzle with the other things that they have done, I have to say yes. Because the way that Brian Gutekunst attacked this draft was from a position of luxury, which is that the roster was really damn good headed into last season, throughout last season, barring the injuries, and he had the luxury of just sort of sprinkling on some additions.
But there are 2 players that cannot get hurt. 2 players, and that's it. If they get hurt, one of them's hurt, they're done. You're done.
And those are?
The 2 that got hurt last year.
Well, Jordan Love, I would argue.
Jordan Love is 1, and Micah Parsons is 2. Because without Micah Parsons on this defense, they're a middle of the road.
But Chew, you made the point earlier.
Unless
DDS.
There it is.
DDS.
How long are we going to listen?
If he ends up being a 10-sack guy, Chewy, you're never going to hear the end of this.
Hey, I stopped with the golden stuff, okay?
Did you?
I don't bring that up anymore.
What? Since when? This week? Since today?
Right.
Because you brought it up
When's the last time I brought it up?
Last week.
What did I say?
Well, I don't bring it up all that often, but Matthew Golden. I was right about that. Josh was wrong.
And I think retroactively, I can grade myself as correct, seeing as how things went with Romeo Dobbs and where he went and how he got paid.
And
they just misused him.
And also, I think the fact that Matt LaFleur said that it didn't really work.
Yeah, everything we did last year was bad at this position. We changed it. Wholesale
led
change.
to some disgruntledness, guys not
retroactively,
understanding their roles.
Isn't that funny?
Wait, who are you, Chewy? Are you applying his standards to you?
Exactly.
That's not how any of this works. You don't get to apply his standards to you.
I learned at the knee.
should work. One last thing, though, as you mentioned Jordan Love and Micah Parsons as the guys who cannot get injured. Chewy, something you said earlier in the show actually is has merit, which is because you allowed Dontavian Wicks to go, because you allowed Romeo Doubs to go, I don't know how much they can afford a major injury at the wide receiver position.
Yeah,
so Christian Watson, who has dealt with injury throughout his career, if he gets hurt, to your point, you don't have all of those guys kind of just waiting in line to get in to be pass catchers. You need Tucker Kraft to be healthy, and I think you need Christian Watson to be healthy in order for this offense to work. So that makes me slightly nervous. I won't say totally nervous, but slightly nervous.
That's part of the luck. That all goes with the luck.
I guess I'd just rather roll the dice with what they're doing now than have all the depth.
Totally agree. In case it isn't clear, in case I haven't been clear, yes, I am completely on board with this is your role, this is your role, this is your role, go out there and crush it in your role, and if somebody gets hurt, we'll figure it out, versus, I don't know who's going to get the ball on this one. Let me just spin the wheel and see.
Maybe Bo Melton could get some reps here, and we could see what he can do. Well, what if we didn't do that? What if we just gave the ball to Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden?
Right. And Tucker Kraft.
Yes. Josh, I got bad news for you. I don't think Bo Melton's going anywhere. And I think he's going to still be playing wide receiver.
Well, right. But the good thing is there's less guys you can point to being, shouldn't he be on the field more?
Sure.
It's going to be like, okay, he probably got a couple snaps over Savion Williams. Whatever. We can live with that.
I'll still be interested to see what the teardown looks like.
I think what he means
is he's tearing down the offense and starting fresh.
Oh, okay. Now you were way off, weren't you?
I thought he was saying like the tear down of snap counts, like the breakdown.
That makes sense. Tear down.
He's talking about the tearing down to the studs of the going back to year one of the offense.
I want to see what that means.
Sort of feels like what we did when Devontae Adams was here.
That picture's starting to become a little more clear.
We didn't play. Everyone gets a trophy and a juice box at the end of the day. We played our good guys and gave them the ball a lot.
A couple orange slices.
Right.
Keep the energy up.
Refresh your home with roofing, siding, or windows from Xfinity Exteriors. They bring us our Twitter poll each and every day here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. It's all backed by their lifetime workmanship warranty, InfinityExteriors.com. I have an interesting comment on the Carbless Talkin' text line, and I want you guys to weigh in on whether or not you agree that this is true. We'll do that right after this on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
We have a crash now, northbound 41 at North Avenue. Shoulders are blocked. We've got cars on either side. Delays from about Swan Boulevard all the way up to Burleigh. Southbound is backed up just before Hampton down to about Capitol Drive. On southbound 43, also seeing delays from just before Hampton all the way down to about Locust. And then we've also got delays eastbound 94 from 70th Street to 35th, westbound from 35th to Hawley Road, and Sunny Slope all the way to Calhoun. Traffic is brought to you by Racine Danish Kringles. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Send mom fresh and delicious Kringles. Order today at kringle.com or call 1-800-4DANISH. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today we'll have rain or storms likely. Some severe storms possible later in the afternoon, high of 60. Tonight, showers and storms will be ending, cloudy with a low of 49. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A huge month of Brewers baseball kicks off with a battle against the Yankees Friday, May 8th through Sunday, May 10th. Catch the crew for half off with Wisconsin's first Friday game tickets on Friday the 8th. Plus, Mother's Day Sunday is the perfect game to bring the whole family with new kids experiences every Sunday. Plus, the first 10,000 fans over the age of 21 get a Brewers picnic blanket at the Mother's Day game, courtesy of American Family Insurance. Score your tickets at Brewers.com.
Elevate your home field advantage by designing it around the way you actually live. Mike Wood here from Callan. What if your home perfectly fit your lifestyle? For 40 years, Callan has helped homeowners like you transform your living spaces from energy-efficient windows and doors to beautiful kitchens and spa-worthy bathrooms, featuring superior quality and craftsmanship you can see and feel for years to come. We start by listening and end with a home you truly love. Request your consultation today at callcallan.com and click the green button. Callan. Design, build, live.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank. When it comes to a home mortgage, we understand you want a simple, stress-free process, great service, and a loan you can feel good about. And for 90 years, that's exactly how we've been doing things at Great Midwest Bank. So if you're thinking about buying, building, renovating, or refinancing, get started at greatmidwestbank.com to find a knowledgeable loan officer and get the peace of mind you deserve. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Let's talk about home turf. Your lawn is a reflection of your pride, hard work, and even competitive spirit. If you want a yard that makes the neighbors stop and stare, you need the right plan. That's where Weedman Lawn Care comes in. Weedman's lawn care program is kid and pet friendly, uses golf course quality fertilizer, and has an effective weed treatment to dominate any issue. Get a free quote of Weedman's winning formula for your yard at weedman.com and get 50% off your first treatment. That's weedman.com. Weedman for the win.
When your team needs custom gear, don't wing it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and More is your local partner for high-quality apparel with hands-on design help and services that actually feel, well, helpful. For your business, teams, or events, Big Frog makes it easy. Visit bigfrog.com/Mequon today.
Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
363.
What's that?
The number of yards they gave up on the ground against the Philadelphia
It's a Bible
Eagles.
verse, John 3:63. Look it up. Tell us what it
I
says.
thought it was Joe 363, and it was "Thou shalt not get past me on the line of scrimmage."
On 94.5 ESPN.
It's a Great Midwest Bank Mortgage Monday on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Rates change, needs change. Great Midwest Bank can help you explore a refi that better fits where you are today. Visit greatmidwestbank.com. That's greatmidwestbank.com. Okay. We're waiting for Chewy to reemerge.
From the bathroom?
No, bathroom door open, wide open. So somewhere else.
Pump the brakes. He leaves that door open.
Well, I can't see his leg. Usually, I can see his leg in the
he
shot
shakes
there.
off and walks away.
On the YouTube stream.
Sometimes you got to do the shake, Josh. It's got to make sure it's,
So we are efforting
squirt gun is
Chewy,
empty,
if you will. Whoa, that's a weird jinx. So this is the comment from Jeff in the 414 that came through on the Carbless Talk and text line. He says, the biggest position of need has not been filled. Until that need is filled, there will not be a Super Bowl appearance in Green Bay. That position is head coach. There seems to be still some criticism, some concern about Matt LaFleur being the guy tasked with leading this roster, with leading this Super Bowl. Hey, welcome back. Hi. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Okay. Chewy's back.
Crows in my garden that are really bothering me right now.
You have what in the garden?
Crows?
Yeah. Maybe I should get Angie's squirt gun and squirt them.
Oh, that would work.
I mean, I don't know, how close can you get with the squirt gun
But also, don't crows notoriously have memory? Crows,
Yes.
you don't want to hack off crows.
I mean, I think you just put a scarecrow out there.
A scare chew.
Yeah, exactly. If I only had a brain.
Chewy, before you joined us, I was mentioning this comment on the YouTube, in the Carbless Talk and text line, rather. The biggest position of need has not been filled, and until that need is filled, there will not be a Super Bowl appearance in Green Bay. That position is head coach. Do you agree with criticism that this can be the best Super Bowl roster anybody has ever assembled, but as long as Matt LaFleur is leading the charge, they will fall short?
I don't think from an offensive play calling or an offensive-minded standpoint, I think he struggles more with running a team. With guys that are disgruntled, that sound like that became a problem in the locker room. there have been a handful of things throughout the years that question whether he's tough enough on players. It is a dance because players today are a lot different than back when I played, but I think from an X's and O's standpoint, he's good to very good. That's why I'll be so interested to see what this teardown, starting from the foundation and building it back up. Did his philosophy change as far as reps with guys and let your best players be on the field for predominantly most of the game, or is it an X's and O's type thing? Like Josh Jacob, wanting to run the ball out of shotgun. That shouldn't even be an issue. You don't give players that kind of power, It's just, it's more the peripheral stuff than the X's and O's. So that would be my question.
Yeah, I'm curious. And again, if they're stripping it down, they're kind of going back to year one stuff, because I think they probably have gotten away from some of that stuff, whether it's running out of shotgun and it just the offense evolves. And I'm really curious that first year of Josh Jacobs, if they end up running out of shotgun more if Jordan doesn't get hurt in that first game. Because then they end up going out of shotgun because Malik Willis, and it was just easier to do that and do the read option, kind of some of the stuff that they were doing in week 2. And Josh had some success, and then you wanted to kind of stay out of the shotgun to kind of protect Jordan so he doesn't have to move it around as much, and it just kind of snowballs that way. So I am curious to see if that is included in part of the teardown of kind of going back to the basics of what this offense looked like. I think the Packers can win a Super Bowl with Matt LaFleur. Because if I believe that they can't, then I guess we're not watching the upcoming season. If you think that they can't win a Super Bowl because of Matt LaFleur, I think that they have enough talent. LaFleur's a good enough play caller that they should be able to get it done.
I won't go as far as to say I don't think they can win with Matt LaFleur, because certainly if the roster's good enough and looks like it did at times last year and they keep those guys healthy, at some point, there's just so much talent you can't screw it up. Do I think he's been a detriment more than an additive in the past 2 seasons? I do. And I think he struggles with getting into trends. Think no further than every single person on the defense saying the ball's going here, because they got into such a predictable state that they were able to say, based on film of the previous games, this is how you stop this. This is where they're going. This is what they like to do. I also think back to the way they were getting baited into running the ball, despite it not working and never working for weeks, because they knew the offensive line wasn't good enough to hold up. I also think pointing to, and it's not being taken as a criticism, but guys not being happy is your fault. Mm-hmm. That is the head coach's fault. It's nowhere else, and he sort of skated in that and sort of said, it's on the guys. And to an extent it is, but everything he's done, and how many times in big moments is he making absolutely puzzling decisions or sitting on his hands and not doing anything? Think no further than the luck that they had against the Dallas Cowboys as the clock was expiring. Everybody watching was going, what are they doing? And then they went back and, they just weren't ready. They weren't. You're the coach. You're in his headset. His mic doesn't turn off at that point of the game. And those are the type of things that I think when it comes to it and games get close, I don't trust him. I think he's a great play caller. I think he can be great at the scheme, where sometimes it gets stale. But I think he has a lot of ways to go. And I think last year he was searching.
And I can't help but wonder if Brian Gutekunst, as he orchestrates some of these moves, look no further than the wide receiver situation, is to sort of, hear me out, dummy-proof the offense, right? It's almost as though Brian Gutekunst thinks that Matt LaFleur was paralyzed by choices, right? Paralysis by analysis. And he's going, you know what? If we just eliminate some of these choices that Matt LaFleur has in front of him and make it very clear what we expect from him running this offense, he can't screw it up. Right? You're going to give the ball to Tucker Kraft. You're going to give the ball to Christian Watson. You're going to mix in some Jaden Reed. You're going to mix in the second-year player Matthew Golden, right? We're going to run Josh Jacobs as long as he's healthy. And then, I don't know. I've still got a question mark there, and we can talk about that as the show goes on. But the point is, I think the best thing to happen to Matt LaFleur was his grade from his players going from an A- to a B-. I think that was a huge wake-up call for Matt LaFleur. And I think it's part of the reason why he is now reevaluating some of the things that he thought would work that haven't worked And the wide receiver situation of him admitting the errors, of basically saying we're going to pivot, we're not going to be spreading the ball around as much as we did, is a good indication that he saw the error of his ways and that he's willing to make those changes.
I think you don't. I think you're absolutely right. And I think Brian Gutekunst sort of said as much without throwing Matt LaFleur fully under the bus. He said we were disappointed with the roles some guys got and the lack of opportunity. Who else is responsible for that? That would be the head coach who's putting those guys on and off the field and scheming up plays for them. Like, to me, it seems pretty obvious. They looked at it and said, this isn't right.
But I don't want to have Gutey escape any of the criticism either. Because I think part of the reason this team gets tight is because they've been so damn young in these games, and they haven't been in the right opportunities because he wants them to be young year in and year out. And Gutey has also pivoted away from the way he has done things, adding a couple of more veterans, especially on that defensive side of the football. Going out and replacing, not using a draft pick, maybe because you had a lack of draft picks, but okay, we need a new inside linebacker. All right, Zaire Franklin, you're a veteran. Come on down. We need help on the interior. All right, Javon Hargrave, you've got a great relationship with Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan, go get your guy. And I think adding those veterans, especially just hearing you talk, Chew, about how much veterans helped you when you were young.
Yeah.
Yes, you can have really good coaches, and we've run through the litany of tremendous coaches that you guys had in the 90s behind Mike Holmgren. But also, you learned a lot from Ed West. Right? You learned a lot from you learned a lot from Keith, even when Keith Jackson showed up, and that's only something that you can learn from another player, even though Andy Reid is going to be one of the greatest coaches in NFL history.
But to what Joshy said earlier, I question whether the guy's a micromanager, whether he doesn't listen to his assistants. Because when it came for me and Keith having playing time, that didn't come from Holmgren. Holmgren it trusted Andy Reid and Mooch and all those guys and Gil Haskell. Look, you tell them when you're going in. So I still question whether the guy's a micromanager and just tries to control everything. And you said, the games are sometimes a disaster at the end. Is it because he's not listening to assistants? With Holmgren, Andy would constantly chirp in his ear, All right, you're looking at, and we would be ahead. You have to be ahead of things in the NFL, right? So if it's 3rd and 6, coaches on the sideline would be going, all right, Y personnel, which is bigs, get ready, because if it's 4th and 1, you're kind of already making that decision before the play before is even run. You have to be ahead of the game. When you're a play caller, you got to be 3 plays ahead of the play you're calling right now, because that's how you think it's going to work out. You shouldn't be going, it started at 1st and 10, it went to 2nd and 2, now we're in 3rd and 8. Oh, sugar, what do I run? That stuff should just be in your head naturally. Now, sometimes you get play calling writer's block or whatever you want to call it.
Let's see if that works.
Play caller's writing block.
Yeah.
I totally understood what you were saying.
Most times
Coach
it should
Klein?
be, third and 6. All right, I already know what I'm running. I'm running our best play. And that's what they did with Devontae,
Well, because you knew Devontae was going to get open. Doesn't matter what's happening.
Gabe, it's
Devontae's
like, who cares about the route? Devontae's better than whatever corner he's going up against.
Correct.
So just call this, let him do his thing, and we're off and running.
800-990-3776 reaction rolling in to this. So many organizations would love to have LaFleur. The disrespect is insanely unwarranted. That from Mario in the 262. Again, we are responding to this inquiry from Jeff in the 414, who says the biggest position of need has not been filled. Until that need is filled, there will not be a Super Bowl appearance in Green Bay. That position is head coach. 800-990-3776. We're reacting to, is Matt LaFleur what is going to keep the Packers from a Super Bowl? If you like the moves that Gutey has made over the last few years, Micah Parsons included, is Matt LaFleur the reason they will not be a Super Bowl team in the upcoming season, or at least during this window, while this window is open for the green and gold? Let us know, 800-990-3776. You can do that on the Infinity Exteriors Twitter poll. Refresh your home with roofing, siding, or windows, all backed by a lifetime workmanship warranty. InfinityExteriors.com.
Are you looking for a weight loss option that works, a weight loss option that will last? That's where Milwaukee Weight Loss comes in. I'm Josh DiMaggio. I'm starting that journey with Milwaukee Weight Loss. From the first consultation, their team really listened to build a customized plan around me and my goals. I'm down more than 35 pounds at this point. It's getting some compliments from people I know just yesterday. And for a limited time, get $200 off the spring special. Doctor-developed, doctor-supervised program where people can lose 20 to 30 pounds in just a month or two. This program is different. No intense workouts, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, counting calories, or points. No drugs, surgery, or injections, just a proven metabolic reset. Many patients can lose up to a pound of fat a day. Milwaukee Weight Loss has already helped thousands of people change their lives. There's no better time than now to take control and start feeling confident again. Schedule a free consultation at 262-235-3980 or visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
We have a crash now, northbound 41 at North Avenue. Shoulders are blocked. We've got cars on either side. Delays from about Swan Boulevard all the way up to Burleigh. Southbound is backed up just before Hampton down to about Capitol Drive. On southbound 43, also seeing delays from just before Hampton all the way down to about Locust. And then we've also got delays eastbound 94 from 70th Street to 35th, westbound from 35th to Hawley Road, and Sunny Slope all the way to Calhoun. Traffic is brought to you by Racine Danish Kringles. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Send mom fresh and delicious Kringles. Order today at kringle.com or call 1-800-4DANISH. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today we'll have rain or storms likely. Some severe storms possible later in the afternoon, a high of 60. Tonight, showers and storms will be ending, cloudy with a low of 49. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
No matter what business you're in, as the #1 SBA lender in Wisconsin, Summit Credit Union helps your vision take shape with loan programs, great rates, and strategic solutions.
Awarded the #1 SBA lender by the Small Business Administration of Wisconsin in 2025.
Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with eligible accounts on Venmo. Just download the PayPal app, share all the moments that matter. Account with PayPal is required, not available in all regions where PayPal operates.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
So it was the fourth quarter and we're down by 5. Sweat pouring down my face. Suddenly it hit me. If only I could wrap part of the towel around my forehead. And that's how I became the first basketball player to wear a headband.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states.
Mr. Big-Time Capital One Bank guy.
Mom, please.
Well, look at this Capital One Cafe. I just might move in.
Or just drop by. Capital One Cafes are open 7 days a week.
I could put my spoon collection right here by the ATM, yes.
Wow, you weren't kidding, Mom.
I never kid about the spoon collection, son. Oh, hey, what's that thing you always say?
There's no fees or minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
No, the other one.
What's in your wallet?
Oh, that's my boy.
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One and name member FDIC.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. Ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free in 24 months with no payments or interest plus $500 off. Restrictions apply. Call 414-410-2000. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
You are listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
I mean, this world is geared towards women. Like, what do we
I
get?
am stepping away from this. Goodbye.
Like, what do we get? They get a comb that dries your hair. We get a stupid razor. I mean, what's the coolest thing we get? They get the hair dryer?
Control.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy as we continue breaking down the Packers 2026 NFL Draft. And as Chewy mentioned at the start of the show, grades abound. And they run anywhere from an A to a D for what the Green Bay Packers did. Dane Brugler over at The Athletic doesn't give letter grades to each franchise, but he does rank them. And I was shocked, honestly, truly, to see the Packers at 26th in Dane Brugler's draft rankings. Again, they only had 6 picks. They had 8, right? Seven.
They had 8.
8, turned it into 6. They took those 2 7th-round picks and turned it into the 1 for the Green Packers. And there was another move early in the middle.
They had traded one of their 5th to move up in the 3rd. No, they moved up in the 3rd to get Chris McClellan. They wanted to move up again for DDS, and then he ended up falling to them in the 4th.
And he does say that DDS denied Dennis Sutton, the edge out of Penn State, is his favorite pick. But he also says that Brandon Cisse was a quality pick, especially outside the top 50. Chris McClellan should be a solid role player for a long time. And then he talks about DDS's value at 120, makes him the favorite pick. He doesn't perform up to his testing numbers. He's a commanding presence who plays with force on defense and special teams. So positive, 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 attribute, 26th across the board.
But you said why? They don't have a first-round pick, and they only have 6 guys. So you don't have depth because you only had 6 picks, and you don't have a top-of-the-line. Like, the Jets had 3 first-rounders. You know, so you don't have, if you're just ranking them 1 through 32, and typically you're going to rank these on immediate impact, I'm not shocked by that number, given the Packers' first pick came at 52, is not an obvious immediate starter, and they only have 6 draft picks.
What's interesting is Brugler had Cisse about a month ago as the 25th overall prospect.
Interesting.
And then he ended up dropping him with some of the guys coming up late through the system. That happens all the time. He was fairly, I think he had DDS in the 60s, if I remember correctly, from his breakdown. So I think mainly they're missing. It's just not a first rounder, and the fact they didn't have a bunch of picks.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest.
But as we mentioned earlier, Chew, yes, I suppose, but then you have to accept that this is being viewed in a vacuum, apropos of nothing. Because if the Packers had a really good roster like we believe they did last year, you're not out here going, we need, this big piece and splash and impact and immediate impact and all of that. No, it seems like Brian Gutekunst and company needed the edges, if you will, right? He's basically putting the finishing touches on the house. And so it's a little, you're right, yeah, if I'm grading the difference between the living room and the trim in the powder room, yeah, I suppose the living room is going to get a higher grade than the trim in the powder room, but I feel like we're at the trim in the powder room portion of the program here.
I also think if you zoom out and look at the money available to them next year in free agency and the 11 picks they currently have, which Gutey said he'd like to have 20 if he can.
He's got to overcompensate for only 6 this year. I guess.
He's got to get that average back to double digits.
You can make the case of like they saw an opportunity on probably the first 4 or 5 guys, and then after that we're like, next year's the year we add more youth to this roster.
But they shouldn't be dinging you for not a. It'd be one thing if they traded the first round pick for Ryan Leaf. Okay, then maybe ding you for that. But
sure, but if there
isn't a team on this planet that wouldn't have done the deal that the Packers did to get Micah Parsons.
100%, but if you're looking at these 6 guys and comparing them to, again, the Jets probably had like 12 picks and 3 first rounders. Like the Jets are going to grade higher than the Packers because they have more players and more impact players.
And because they've been El Stinko.
Yeah,
right.
Correct,
the reason you put yourself in this position is because you're terrible at playing football.
Yeah, so it's not. This is the quality of the team. It's just like it's a small draft class, and you're probably not going to have any guys that are making huge immediate impacts in 2026. That's all it is. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it makes a ton of sense given the way everything played out over the weekend.
We got to take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Reaction rolling into our question about Matt LaFleur. We'll get to some of that as we wrap up the show right after this.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN. Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on April 28th.
Turio sends it deep to left, and there she goes!
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in April 28th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with eligible accounts on Venmo. Just download the PayPal app, share all the moments that matter. Account with PayPal is required, not available in all regions where PayPal operates.
Rich Eisen here with some advice. If high-interest credit card debt is grinding you down, it might be time to call an audible with a SoFi personal loan. It consolidates your debt into one low monthly payment with no fees required. And with as soon as the same day funding, you can make the right play fast. Call an audible on your debt today at SoFi.com/debtplay. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891. Fast funds terms apply at SoFi.com/debtplay.
The Run for the Roses is coming to St. Kate the Arts Hotel. Join us Saturday, May 2nd for the Kentucky Derby Day in partnership with Woodford Reserve. Watch the race live, sip on specialty cocktails including the classic mint julep, and dress to impress. Best hat and best dress contests are on the card. Admission is free, or you can upgrade to VIP for $75 for exclusive food stations and 2 complimentary cocktails. Visit stkatearts.com to RSVP or grab your tickets at stkatearts.com.
You can search for the biggest bat selection, but I'm here to save you time because the best baseball and softball bat selection in the Midwest is right here at Burkhardt Sporting Goods. We stock just about every bat on the market from all the top manufacturers like Easton, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, Marucci, and more, and sell them all at the guaranteed lowest prices. So get in here and try a few out in our indoor batting cages. There's no need to look any further because when it comes to bats, if you want it, we got it at Burkhardt Sporting Goods.
You can't beat Burkhardt.
When you run a team, you want great uniforms, and you know selling spiritware is vital. That's why Burkhardt Sporting Goods will create a free custom website for you to sell your families and players the coolest spiritware from Nike and Under Armour, as well as the basics, while helping you fundraise at the same time. We take the hassle out of coordinating your team's apparel and make shopping and buying easy. So when you need awesome spiritware and uniforms for your organization, you can't beat Burkhardt.
You can't beat Burkhardt. Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Amore, maroni, amore, mozzarella, amore. Screaming Sicilian, screaming Sicilian.
Screaming Sicilian frozen pizza. More toppings, more flavor. More is amore.
If you are a junior or senior, a graduating senior, or a parent of a high school basketball player with a goal of playing college basketball, visit the DME Academy Wisconsin program on the beautiful campus of St. John's in Delafield. Training starts in August with top flight coaches, facilities, and academics. You will play against the top players and teams and in front of college coaches across America. Ignite your dream of playing college basketball. Google DME at St. John's Northwestern Academy on the campus of St. John's in Delafield.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
I would say James Earl Jones because he's more grandfathery.
Yeah,
The grandfather.
Darth Vader was super grandfathery.
Very loving.
Those Star Wars #1 are horrible. The best one was Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, you know who's in that?
Who?
James Earl Jones. You
Where?
dip bleep. He is the voice of Darth Vader.
Are you sure?
On 94.5 ESPN.
Back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy as we wrap things up. I am intrigued by this perception that it doesn't matter how good of a roster Brian Gutekunst puts together, what he adds via the draft.
as long as Matt LaFleur is manning this ship, captaining this ship, Packers will fall short of a Super Bowl. And the questions and the reactions are rolling in fast and furious. Rudy says, I think LaFleur is a great coach with some bad habits. Gotta break them and we're good. Jaws in MKE says, Matt LaFleur deserves some smoke, but Gutey going largely unscathed always gets to me. He should get credit for the Micah trade, but you don't have to make that trade if LVN and Gary weren't weak, high first-round picks. And then Chris says this, Chew, and I'll leave you with this. If we're going to ask the question on Matt LaFleur, then we have to say, who are you replacing him with? Who's your alternative? That from Chris in the 920. Fair?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not in the front office. I'm not making hirings. There's plenty of good coaches out there. Thousands of them.
Hard to know who, because when the Packers hired Matt LaFleur, who knew who Matt LaFleur was?
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mike McCarthy. He won a Super Bowl.
Right. Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan, you could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, he had a famous last name.
So you're saying
So
that fans don't need to be
acceptable for this
responsible. Go ahead, Chew.
What's acceptable? I mean, if he doesn't make playoffs, he's getting canned like tuna. He's still on a hot seat, even
there could
though
be
he
some
signed-
qualifiers in there too, like if they lose Jordan Love and Desmond
Injuries.
Ridder stinks,
Yes.
and like I think there's some qualifiers. If they stay healthy and miss the playoffs, I would agree. I think he's gone.
And I don't think it's enough to just make the playoffs. Everybody's been, barking about that 7th seed, early exits. You got to make a run, man. You got to make a deep run in the postseason. If Brian Gutekunst's draft told us anything, it's that he thinks they're close. And he addressed the positions where he thought they needed help. And so now it's go out there, take the ingredients I've given you, and make me a gosh darn meal. Make me a fantastic meal. I know. Thanks, Joshy. He's laughing at me back there because he knew what I wanted to say.
I was proud of you.
That's growth. Look at me and Matt LaFleur. We're growing right before your very eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if there are a couple of injuries, again, not even necessarily in the big ones that we were talking about, depending upon how that depth holds up, then that light gets shined right back on Gutey.
Yeah.
More NFL draft conversation coming your way right now on ESPN Milwaukee with Wilde and Tausch.
They're still dealing with a crash on northbound 41 at North Avenue.